Welcome to LFC Transfer Hub. Virgil van Dijk addresses Milo's Kerkez exchange and sends Mohamed Salah new Liverpool message. Second news is new Milo's Kerkez reality, even clearer as Mohamed Salah's fitting Liverpool farewell emerges. Now details. It had unwittingly become a snapshot of the struggle for Liverpool's new-look side during the difficult autumn months earlier in the season. But the change in fortunes for both team and player mean any on-field messages directed from skipper Virgil van Dijk towards Milo's Kerkez are now more likely to be complimentary than critical. Kerkez continued his impressive recent form with a man-of-the-match display in helping the Reds see off Brighton on Saturday evening to progress to the FA Cup fifth round. The left-back's Anfield journey has not been the most straightforward since arriving for £40 million from Bournemouth in the summer as the long-term replacement for Andy Robertson. But Van Dijk believes Kerkez, who created the opener against Brighton for Curtis Jones, is starting to adapt to the unique demands of playing for Liverpool. "I think it is pretty clear you definitely see an improvement," said the Liverpool centre-back. "He is still so young and is getting used to being a Liverpool player. It is a lot more than kick a ball on the pitch. Especially when the team has been inconsistent, it's not easy to play your best games. But with the help of Robbo and the rest of the team and his own development, I think he is making big progress. What I see is there is a lot to come for him to learn and improve, but that's a good thing. He just has to keep going. He has a lot of energy. He is young, laughs. When we were young, we were always full of energy. He is eager to learn. The price tag you can't do anything about. When I joined the club, it was also like that. £75 million was a lot of money, but what can I do about it?" As partner to Kerkez on the left side of the defence, Van Dijk could regularly be seen earlier in the campaign expressing his views and imparting wisdom while offering some curt advice. It didn't always make for an easy watch, but for the Liverpool captain, the interventions were a necessary part of Kerkez's learning curve. "Of course I had chats because on the pitch we need each other, whether it is positioning or even today he presses as a full-back, and I have to cover," said Van Dijk. "It's a collaboration that you obviously have to understand each other, and me and Robbo had that for so many years, and you still see that in our game. That is something that has to develop over games. Conversations are happening 100% behind the scenes and in games, like with the rest of the team, to try to be the best team and players on the pitch." Saturday also saw Mohamed Salah deliver one of his best performances of the season, laying on the second goal for Dominic Szoboszlai before winning and then converting the penalty for Liverpool's third. 2 months earlier, there were fears the home Premier League win over Brighton could be Salah's last game for Liverpool, as he headed off for Africa Cup of Nations duty, a week after his explosive comments, claiming he was being scapegoated for the Reds' poor form and had no relationship with the head coach Arne Slot. Relations have improved since then, with Salah having registered 2 goals and 4 assists in 7 games since returning from international duty with Egypt. And Van Dijk said, "Mo is still so important for us. Last week he had an assist again and broke another record, and he is still the leader and important for me personally, as a captain, to have around and to have him on the pitch, and his presence benefits the team. He always gives the team more than goals. There's obviously a lot of focus on his goals at the moment, and that's also part of his life, because he puts the standards so extremely high, so when he doesn't score as much he gets criticised. He has to stay calm and try to be important with everything he still can do, and there is so much still. He is important for us on and off the pitch." Nevertheless, there remain question marks over Salah's future, with the Saudi Pro League believed ready to launch yet another bid for the 33-year-old in the summer. "The situation is what it is," said Van Dijk. "The full focus is on trying to make this season a success first, and we will see how then the season ends, and then you never know what happens. I always want Mo to stay because I'm a good friend of him, and we've been through the highs and not so highs. I don't want to call them lows together for so many years. The same as me, he's got 1 more year, so we will see." Second news is new Milo's Kerkez reality, even clearer as Mohamed Salah'S fitting Liverpool farewell emerges. Liverpool's summer transfer business has been a hot topic of conversation so far this season. It seems like everyone has had their say on what the club should or shouldn't have done, as they spent over £400 million. But while the Reds opted to splash the cash on a number of high-profile transfers, one deal that was viewed by many as a coup was the one that saw Milo's Kerkez move to Anfield from Bournemouth. The Reds beat off competition from Manchester City to secure the left-back in a deal that cost them £40 m. In today's world, £40 m is nothing, but Kerkez's start to the season was not what he or those inside the corridors of power at Anfield would have envisaged. He certainly had to endure plenty of low points, and even suffered the embarrassment of being hooked in the first half against Burnley back in September. Something that no footballer, whether professional or amateur, wants to endure, but on that afternoon at Turf Moor, Kerkez did. Yes, there have been tough moments since then, and times when Liverpool supporters were rightly calling for Andy Robertson to be given the nod over the 24-year-old. Jamie Carragher even went as far as saying in January that having Kerkez at left-back was like having Darwin Núñez in that position. Sometimes when you watch Kerkez, it's like having Darwin Núñez at left-back. It's just a bit mad, the former defender said. There's no real thought process. What's he doing with the ball? How's he connecting with other players? It's just head down run. He never gets his head up and actually plays passes. But fast forward to now, and the reality is very different for Kerkez. He's not only established himself as Liverpool's first-choice left-back, but he has been one of his side's most consistent performers in recent weeks. And there was no sign of any erratic play when he set up Liverpool's first goal here, as he picked his head up and fired the perfect cross into the box that allowed Curtis Jones to turn the ball home. Kerkez also showed he was up for the fight in the first half, and in the second half he produced a great intervention to stop a Brighton chance. There have been a lot of justifiable questions asked about Liverpool's recruitment in the summer. But questions about Kerkez specifically have long stopped. That's because the Liverpool star has silenced his critics with his impressive displays, and showed why many believed his transfer was a coup for the club in the summer. No greater fitting farewell. The last time Mohamed Salah faced Brighton and Hove Albion at Anfield, some wondered whether they would ever see him in a Liverpool shirt again. That was back in December, and came just a week after he delivered an explosive interview following the draw with Leeds United. In the interview, Salah accused Liverpool of throwing him under the bus and said his relationship with the club's head coach, Arne Slot, was over. He was subsequently omitted from the squad for the Champions League win over Inter Milan at the San Siro, and instead posted a picture on his social media platforms of him alone in the club's gym facility at their AXA training headquarters. The forward would return to his side's matchday squad for the 2-0 Premier League victory over Fabian Herzl's side, coming off the bench for Joe Gomez after just 26 minutes. Back then, as Salah departed for the Africa Cup of Nations, his Liverpool future certainly appeared up in the air as a number of Saudi Pro League clubs followed his situation. But by the time he returned from Morocco last month, there was no chance that he would be leaving Anfield during the winter window. He returned to action almost immediately after 3 games without a goal and got his name back on the scoresheet here. Granted, it was from the penalty spot and came after he had wasted a good chance in the first half, but this was Salah doing what he does best, and that is scoring goals. Nobody knows what the future holds for the forward and Liverpool. Some believe this could be his last season at Anfield. We will have to wait and see if that is the case. There is no denying that when Salah does leave Liverpool, he will do so as one of the club's all-time greats. Which is why if this is his last season at the club, it would be fitting he departs, having fired his side to FA Cup glory at Wembley. Federico Chiesa failed to take his chance. In recent months, Federico Chiesa's song has been given more airtime than he has had gamma time at Anfield. But on a night in which his boss went as strong as possible, Chiesa was handed the chance to make a statement and show why he deserves more gamma time. But it was a chance that he failed to take. Granted, it is tough to come in from the cold and immediately hit the ground running. However, this just felt like one of those nights when nothing came off for the Italy international. You really couldn't fault his work ethic. He certainly tried to make things happen, but the fact that by the time we approached the end of the first half, he had only had 5 touches of the ball spoke volumes. In the second half, he was moved into the middle from the left, as Arne Slot clearly sought to get more from the attacker.